inside each one of us, there is a beautiful symphony. 100 billion neurons are firing in a concert, constructing the vivid reality that we are living in. And inside each little piece of neural activity, there is a little bit of what makes you, you. I'm gonna tell you a story about a girl called Cameron Ma. After her second birthday, she started having violent seizures. They start becoming worse and worse, and eventually, she lost her ability to speak. The doctors diagnosed her with Rasmussen's encephalitis, which is characterized by inflammations on the brain and paralysis in one side of your body, and the only treatment for this case is cutting out a half of her brain. And keep in mind that a half of your brain is responsible for the movement and sensation of the other part of your body. After the surgery, the doctors diagnosed her and told her mother that she is dealing with hemiplegia and peripheral vision loss. What do you expect her life after all of these difficulties? What do you expect her life? Guess what? Despite all of that, she had a normal life. Just imagine with me that I give you a half of a car or a half of a phone. At first, for a half of a car, you couldn't go anywhere with it. You try to turn it, but nothing happens. Raise the steering wheel and expected to hear the sound beep beep, but also nothing happens. It's useless. For a half of a phone, you couldn't check the posts in your Facebook account, so it's also useless. And all of this is because for devices, there is a rule, which is 50% equals broken. But for your brain, there is another rule, which is 50% is almost excellent, 100%. So let's explain what happened to Cameron's brain. The remaining part of her brain sensed the loss of neural tissue and started to rewire and recognize itself to take over all the rules that the other half of her brain had previously handled. This extraordinary ability of the brain is called brain plasticity or neuroplasticity. So what's the brain plasticity? Well, it's a process by which your brain changes depending on what has happened to it. We can also say it's the process by which you recover from a brain damage, such as stroke or neurotrauma. So it's not very good analog when people say, oh my God, your brain is like a computer, as your brain is not static hardware. While there is a structure to your brain, it's a flexible and dynamic biology. You and your brain are dynamic. You can change your thoughts, change yourself, change your life. Each new lesson we learn has the potential to connect new neurons and changes our brain's default mode of operation. For example, each time we learn a new dance step, it reflects a change on our physical brain and neural pathways that give instructions to our bodies on how to perform the step. Learning new language, musical instrument, or anything that needs practice take the process of neuroplasticity, unlike the facts. While we repeatedly practice a certain activity, such as mathematical problems or a sequence of movements, neural circuits are being formed, leading to better ability to perform the practice task with less waste of energy. Once we stop practicing a certain activity, our brain will redirect those neural circuits with the principle of use it or lose it as a threat for you. And finally, one of the most wonderful quotes about brain plasticity is, because of the power of brain plasticity, you can, in fact, reframe your world and rewire your brain so that you can become more objective and productive. So don't stop, go ahead and reframe your own world.